Assalamu alaikum dear students. The subject is Advanced Theory and Computation. Today is our week 2, lecture 1. In today's agenda of this class, we have definition of the recursive languages, which is continues from the previous lecture of week. Then we have examples on recursive languages. Then we have some basic properties or features of the recursive languages, like how we can define, or whenever we define the recursive languages, so what are their basic condition or rules before defining any kind of recursive languages. After definition of feature or some properties, we have example how we can incorporate these basic feature inside the examples. The last topic of this week, that is the regular expression. What is regular expression? Why do we need the regular expression? And we have then some basic example of the regular expressions. Now we have recursive definition of languages, right? So recursive mean calling itself, but it should be finite number of time, right? It should not be infinite number of times, right? So it means calling itself for limited number of times. Okay, so what is the definition according to the bookish? We have a recursive definition of a function define values of a function for some input in terms of the values of the same function for other input. Like for example, I may give an example, like I want to print 10 times Pakistan, the word Pakistan or the string Pakistan, right? So we have here the input values, that is the Pakistan. So Pakistan we want to print 10 times, it should be with the same function or with the same structure. So that is why it should be repeated itself, but it should be infinite number of times. This is called, we call recursive languages, which call itself for limited number of time. There are three ways we can process the recursive languages. We have to see, or we have to keep in mind these points. First point, we specify some basic objects in this set, like whenever we want to print a word Pakistan, so we need to define some basic objects or some basic elements in the set, right? So that element or that object means, like if we define inside the for loops, we say 0 to 9 or 1 to 10. So that is the basic theme or basic purpose of the first point, right? So we specify some basic object in the set. So what is the object we want to print? What is the set we want to print 10 times Pakistan, right? So how we can define the basic objects or basic element or basic condition? So we have to say like 0 to 9 or 1 to 10. So that is the first point, right? What is the second point over here in the first definition? The number of basic objects specified must be finite. Like I said before, printing 10 times Pakistan, so we can say 0 to 9 or 1 to 10. What is the second point? We gave a finite number of rules, a finite number of times, like mean, for constructing more objects in the same set from ones we already know. Like we have set the condition or rule in the first point, right? So whenever we implementing or whenever we reaching to the end point, so that is the second point actually, right? The third, if we do not follow the first point in the second point, so it is not a set. It is very simple. Like if for example I said in that example I want to print 10 times Pakistan 1 to 10 times, and if it is less than 10 times or if it is exceed 10 times, so it is not a recursive language, or important point is this, or it is not a set which we have asked or which we define. So this is the third point, right students? Okay, we have some examples how we can say a language or a set or a string it could be a recursive language. So we have a very, very basic example. There is the factorial function, right? So we before explaining or before going to any point in the theory of automata code, so we should know some basic, very basic principle of the math. Like if I say factorial or factorial function, so it means it could be repeated up to n number of times, depending on the input values, right? So first of all, we should know about the basic uh, mathematics. So here, if we are talking about the factorial function, so like for example, if we have the value which is 4, if I say the 4, so that is the first point. That is the first point. Like we define the set. We define the set. We define the set, but it is a finite. Like, okay, different, you understand? Okay, this is the first point. We define the basic object, a basic element in the set, and we have the finite. It should go up to some number, right? Then the first point we have defined 4 factorial, the symbol sign explanation, right, is equal to 4 into 3 factorial, right? So if we see, this is the first step, this is the first step, the 4 is the first step from the previous slide of this one, right? In this 3 factorial, this is the second point actually, right? This is the second point we define, right? If we can see, we gave a finite number of rules for constructing more objects. So we are the more object, this is the more object, right? See, before it was the 4, then it come to 3. In the second step we have 3, then 2. In the third step we have 3, then 2, then 1, and up to 1, and finally we got the result. Like so, these are the first point. If you can see in her vertical form, right? In this diagonal form, that is the constructing more objects or new objects from the specific set, from the specific object or from the specific element set, right? So we have, this is the incremental form, the diagonal, this one the incremental form, and this is the constant form. So this is the first point of the recursive language, and this diagonal including 3 up to 1, this is the constructing new object from the existing one. So existing one, it is the from step 1, right? Okay, so this is the basic concept how we can use the recursive languages for factorial or for any kind of problem. So we have a lot of example in this lecture, so inshallah you will understand more and more accordingly. Okay, next slide, which is very important. Why we need recursive languages or recursive definition. So let me explain in very detail. Sets which have too many elements to list them up, and for which there are no convenient or obvious predicts to specify their elements can be defined using a recursive languages or recursive definition, right? It essentially gives a procedure to generate the member of the set one by one, starting with some subsets of an element, like here. This is the subset. This is the subset of this main set, right? Okay, in this type of definition, first we have a collection of elements. So this is the collection, right? 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So these are the collection of elements. Okay, so first we should have a collection of elements to be included initially in this set, which should be specified, like over here. The first point, it is explained right. Okay, these elements can be viewed as the seeds of sets being defined. What is seeds? These are the seeds, right? The 3, the 2, the 1, the 0. These are the seeds of what? Of 4, of object 4 or element 4. So these are the seeds. Next, the rules to be defined to generate elements of the set from elements already known to be in the set, right? So whenever we need to define some seed or some subset of that object, it should be defined in that list. Mean, for example, in factorial, so we have the maximum 0 factorial if we give any integer number. So this is the meaning of we should know like that. Okay. So these rules provide a method to construct the set element by elements starting with the seed. These rules can also be used to test elements for the membership in the set. So that is the very basic example, basic explanation why we need the recursive languages. Dear students, we have some clauses. Clauses mean we have some rules, some principle, some conditions. So these are called clauses. Okay. Recursive languages have three basic clauses. The first one we have the basic one. The second one we have the inductive. The third one we have extremal clause. Let's go one by one with definition. Okay. Why or what is the basic clause? The basic clause which designs some basic element or objects in the sets. So this is the basic clause. Okay, we should define some basic elements or objects from the set or in the sets. Like we have early explanation in this slide in this lecture. So that is the basic clause. The basic clause also known as a simple or simply a simple clause. Okay, it establishes that certain objects are in this set. Okay, what does it mean? Like for example, we have in the factorial example 3, 2, 1, and 0. So these are the basic objects which is already in the set, a factorial set, factorial 4 set, right? This part of the definition specify the seeds of the set from which the elements of the set are generated using the method given in the inductive clause. Okay, so we have the seeds like the factorial 4, we have 3, 2, 1, and 0. These are the seeds of that particular element or object, right? So whenever you generate like 3, 2, 1, and 0 from the factorial 4, so this is called the inductive clause. Inductive clause. I will explain further than inductive or induction clause. So for here, whenever we generate anything from that particular sets, right? So this is called induction or inductive clause. Okay. So the set of elements specified here is the called basis of the set being defined. Okay. The second clause of the recursive languages or recursive definition of the languages is the inductive clause. Okay, before going to the slide, let me talk in general way. What is the inductive clause? In general speaking, induction is the process of introducing a new employee to the company culture and processes with the aim of bringing them up to speed up as quickly as possible, as well as making them feel socially comfortable and aware of the professional responsibility. So this is this is the definition of inductive clause in general speaking in our daily life example, right? So if I say, or if I go in technical way, the definition of the inductive clause, like I can say, inductive clause shows us how to build new thing from old with some construction rules. Okay, I want to repeat it again. Inductive clauses shows how to build new things. The new things, the seeds from the set. Okay, from the old mean the sets, like we have set of A, B, factorial 4, and so on. So this is a very basic example, right? From the old with some construction rule. So construction rule that is defined inside that particular question or language. Like we have factorial, all right? We can have the palindrome, and we have many other examples like even, right? Even integer and odd number. So these are the actually construction rules which we have to define the clause for a particular problem, right? So this is the very technical basic definition of the inductor clause. Now let's see from the slides. Okay, inductor clause, which is simply called induction. Induction means to give opportunity to people who want to work in your organization or company or and so on. Inductor clause, a clause of the definition establishes the way in which elements of the set can be combined to produce new elements of the set, right? Second point, inductor clause always assert mean verify or maintain, or okay, that if objects or element of the same set, then they can be combined in certain specific way to create other objects or seeds. Okay, so what does it mean? Like we have basic sets of alphabet or string or whatever, right? So we should construct it to generate new elements or seeds. It should be with some specific rules, right? So this is the second point. Like we have the example, let us call the objects used to create a new main object with the name parent of the new object, and the new object of the parent, that is the child. So this is one of the example of the object-oriented programming. Okay, like we have the parent class, we have the child class, then we have object, sub-object of the child class, and so on. Like we have construction and destruction example of the object programming, constructor and destructor example, right? Okay, the third and the last clause, that is the extremal clause. Okay, the extremal clause verifies that unless an object can be shown to be a member of the set by applying the basics and inductor clause a finite number of the time, the object is not a member of the set. What does it mean? Let me tell you in a very simple way. For example, if you cannot build sets with finite number of application of steps 1 and step 2. What is step 1? The basic clause, and step 2 the inductive clause. Then it is not in the set. Mean, for example, you have a language which have A and B, right? And you define in the seeds C and D and other elements. So this is not a recursive language, right? We have included some other example, some other element which is not relevant to the definition of the set. So this is called extremal clause. So this is very important thing. Okay, so you will get more understanding in coming slide about these three clauses, how we can implement these three clauses for recursive languages. Okay. Okay, some example of the recursive definition of set. Example 1. Definition of the set of natural number n. Okay, so we have a natural number which is denoted by n. So you can define anything. You can use anything for any problem or for any definition. But here we have the natural number. So mathematically or by principle we use n. Okay, so for more clearing understanding. So example 1, definition of the set of natural number which is denoted by n. So how we can apply these three clauses on the natural number or natural number languages. The first one, we have the basics clause, like 0 also belong to natural number, 1 also belong to natural number, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to million trillion number of that is belong to the natural number. So we can also we can mention any number over here, like 0 belong to n. Okay, this symbol mean belong. Okay, belongs. Okay, so the basic clause 0 belong to n. So if we see the definition of natural language, so 0 also include in the natural number. Okay, the second, we have the inductive clause. Inductive mean how we can expand the basic clause using using the number or using the definition of the language or string. Okay, so how we can further expand the language or the problem. Okay, so for here the inductive clause, like they say, any element which is denoted by x, by y, by z, by a, by any number you can represent it. Okay, so for more understanding in mathematical and for computer science student, so usually we say that is the that is the x. Okay, we normally use in our paper or programming or in thesis and so on. In algorithm, we also mention x usually. Okay, so here they say the inductive clause, uh, any element of x belong to n, mean x can be any number, 0 to million, trillion, 0 to 100, like 0 to 1000. So 0 to 1000, this is also come in natural number. So this is why they have mentioned for any element x and n, right? X plus 1 is also in n. So this is the increment form. Okay, if for example I say 1 in 100 numbers, right? So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. 2 is also in 100 number and so on. So this is the inductive clause example, how we can use for natural number. Extremal clause, nothing is in n unless it is obtained from the basis or inductive clause. It means if I define the natural language and I say, like, if I apply any other rule on these basic and the inductive clauses, so it will not come in these two clauses. So it means I'm talking about the extremal clause. Simply explain, if anything violating again the first one and the second one, so this is called extremal clause. Okay, we have second example, that is the definition of the set of the non-negative even number. Okay, so here we have the basic condition, it should be non-negative. It means it should not be minus with minus symbol. Okay, okay, and we have the even number like 0, 2, 4, 6 and so on. So this is the even number. Okay, so how we can satisfy the three basic laws, like 0 belong to non-negative even number. Okay, so again we have for any element x which is belong or which is in the set of NE non-negative even number. Okay, so here we have example, we how we can proceed or how we can extend the inductive clause, like the for loop. Okay, so how we can include like x plus 2, why plus 2? Because if we see the non-negative even number, so even number is 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. This is why we use 2. So here for example we have 0, 0 plus 2 is equal to 2. So this is also called an even number. Okay, so the third clause is that if it is not in the available condition or it is not applicable in the given conditions, so this is not the non-negative even number. Third, we have definition of the set of even integer. Okay, so we have represented the even integer with the EI. So we have three classes how we can satisfy them. The first one, we have the basic clause. Okay, so we know about the what is the even number or what are the even numbers. Okay, so in the basic clause we have 0 belong to even integer or even number, right? So how we can extend it into inductive clause for any element x in even integer, so we can further extend into x plus 2 or x minus 2. So this is called even integer, because here we use the minus 2 because they didn't mention like it should be negative or should be positive. If there is some condition, then we can omit any one, this one or this one, right? So it is depend. Fourth example, we have definition of set of string is, okay, we have a language or set which is denoted by S. In this set string S, we have alphabets A and B, okay, excepting empty string. So how we can use, okay, so this is the set of string consisting of A and B, such as AA, A, B, 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 A, B, 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 A, B, A, and so on. So this is one of the very basic rules. Okay, this is how we can extend the language, the string alphabet or the language. Okay, so we can extend it, in the form of any form, any form, right? So they didn't mention any rule over here or any condition over here. Okay, how we can satisfy the three clauses on the string S containing A and B. The first one we have example, the basic one. If we say A belong to S, then B must also belong to S. Okay, so this is the very basic principle which is available from this sets or data sets. So how we can extend these things? Okay, so we can extend like for any element X. So X could be anything which is in the definition of A and B. Okay, so we cannot exceed. Okay, so for any element X and S, right? So further we can extend A X belong to S. So what is X? X over here it should be or it must be B, because we cannot use like D, E, F on the X. Okay, because we have the limited set which is A and B. Okay, so X it can be B. Okay, or it can be A as well, and X B belong to X. Okay, so it could be the X could be A or it could be B. So it is depend on the condition, but here we do not have any kind of condition. So we can also use we can replace the X with the B, or it could be with A. Okay, so this is mean how we can extend the sets infinite number of elements or seed. So this is the basic example, right? So again we have the same thing. Okay, here AX means the concatenation of A with X. Okay, so it doesn't very big point. We have another example like one definition of the set n of natural number is. So how we can apply these rules? Like if I say in the natural number, which is already we have discussed in the previous. So this is with another way how we can write a question. Okay, so we have a set of n. So what is n? N have natural number. So I can say in the basic class, if one is in n means the natural class, so I can say like n plus 1 in the natural number. Okay, so this is how we can combine. Okay, we have further more examples on the recursions, right? Okay, recursive definition of sigma steric. Okay, here I want to explain before going to explanation of this slide. In some slide or in some lecture we will see steric on the sigma or any language or L, S or anything or N. Okay, so if it is N, if it is steric, so it means in data set we have one empty set. There must be one empty set. Got it, student? Or another example, sometime we see over here plus symbol. So plus symbol mean there must be no empty set. Okay, there must be no empty set. This is very important thing. Okay, students. Okay, so for this thing, how we can define the recursive language? Sigma steric. So as I said before, whenever we have steric, so it means there must be one empty set. Okay, so how we can define? If I apply the basic class function, right? So empty belong to sigma steric. Okay, the second point, for all x element belong to steric x sigma steric. Okay, and all a belong to sigma a of x also belong to a. So this is the same thing. Okay, so a which is in the set, okay, x also in the set. So x can be anything, because here we do not have the particular data set values, or if we have the particular data set over here, so this x or a should be replaced with that particular data set element, right? So this is a very important thing. Like we have a very good example which will further will give you some assistance or help. Okay, let's iterate through the rules for sigma is equal to a and b. Like we have a set of a and b, so how we can use, right? We can check for different values for recursive, okay, for iteration, for looping. If I say I is equal to 0, right? So 0 means it's for example, anything power of 0, so it 0 or nothing mean, okay, in mathematical form. If I put 0, 0 over here on the sigma, so it return empty, empty. So empty could be this symbol or another symbol we can also represent. If I say I is equal to 1, okay, so 1 means there should be at least one element, okay. So according to the definition of set, so we have a and b, okay, and in the first step where we have signed the 0, so it should also be repeated in the next step, okay. So what we have, the empty set, and what is the element from the set, so we have a and b, so there should be single elements in the data and the sets, okay. If we have I is equal to 2, right, so the you have repeat the same alphabet over here, you have to place the same alphabet over here, right, and we have 2, right, so we have the I is equal to 2 and we have a and b, so it means we should simply repeat a bb, ab and ba, okay. So we there, okay, here we do not have the specific rule, right. For example, it should be start with double a, or it should be start with single a, end with b, and so on. So here we do not have any kind of rule, so that's why we can write in anywhere, but usually we have to see the order whenever we drawing the such kind of repetition of the language, right. So we have to just copy these alphabet over here, right, and then we see if I is equal to 2 or 3, so we have to place accordingly, right. If I is equal to 3, right, so you have to copy the same thing over here up to here, and then if I is equal to 3, so you can repeat it 3 times with any combination, right. So there is no specific rule and so on. So this is the example of iteration or recursion, okay. This is the example, this is actually the theoretical form, and this is the practical form with example, right. We have another example. Only we have a definition of double A and double B in the set, right. So these are the different values, right. So I said before, if I set assign 0, so it return empty, right. So over here, if I say I is equal to 1, so this is mean I, sorry, this is the empty, and what we have in the set, we have 2 times A and 2 times B, so just keep over here, right. And second, we have I is equal to 2, so the same set you will place again in this step, and then we have 2, so it means we have 4 times. Why 4 times? Because we have already 2 times A and 2 times B and so on. So this is why we have just repeated double or 2 times. So we have like 4 times A, 4 times B, and then you can make the pair accordingly of 4 items. And in the same way, you should have to go for 3. So it means we have the 6 items, 6 data sets or 6 seeds in the sets or element, right. So this is the example. Okay, we have another example, the recursive definition for palindromes. So palindrome, we already know. For example, you have 0, 1, 0. I'm just giving an example. If I read it from left side, so if we read like 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. If I read it from right side, so it is 1, 0, 1 again. So if it is if anybody want to read from left side or right side, so it will give the same answer. This is called palindrome. Okay. So we have this is the definition of the palindrome. Okay, so they define the PAL or the palindrome from the set of sigma. Okay, So the first class if we apply, this is empty belong to palindrome, right? The second class for any A belongs to set of palindrome, all right? So if it means if A belong to set, right? So A must also belong to PAL. Okay, this is only the representation how we can define. Further, we extend the inductive class if or another way for any X belong to PAL. Okay, the palindrome mean, and it must also belong to the set or the sigma. So it means we can write A X A belong to the PAL or the palindrome. So this is why or how we can design the recursive languages. So these are very important. You will further learn if you go by your own way to do some practice on this recursive languages. We have another one definition of language which is of even number. So in the first step or the basic step we have 2 is also in the even number. Okay, in step 2 if x in the even number, so then we can also say x plus 2 and x minus 1 also in the even number. So this is why how we can define the executable languages. We have another language. This is the language factorial. In the first step, if I assign 0 factorial, so it will return 1. So 1 is the factorial of the input number, right? If I go for generic form, the inductive form, and step 2, so it will go n factorial is equal to n steric n minus 1 whole factorial. So this is one of the generic form, which is the inductive clause for defining the factorial languages. Okay, this is very important example. Defining the language palindrome. Okay, the palindrome, we have the same rule again. I'm telling again, I'm repeating it again. Like okay, the palindrome, again, I want to repeat it again. Like if you want to read from left side or from right side, so it will return the same definition or the same meaning of the particular data set. Okay, so we have a set which is A and B. So if I apply the palindrome rule, okay, so in step 1 A and B, which is in the condition of palindrome. So if I go to step 2, which is the inductive clause, if x and the palindrome, so x could be actually usually x we use for solution of the any given problem. So you can replace x with A and B or any item from the set. Okay, so if x is palindrome, then s of x, okay, or reverse of s. What does it mean? If I say x which is belong to A or B in the palindrome, okay, so if I write s of x, so x could be A or B, right? Or I want to reverse the s values or the seeds or the element, so it will give the same meaning, right? This is why they have mentioned s of x, okay. If I want to reverse the palindrome rules, right, on the x, so it will give the same meaning. Okay, this is called xx will also be palindrome where s belongs to the set of A and B, right? Okay, we have our example over here, like the set which is A and B, right? And if I want to write the language with the steric, the steric mean we must include empty set, define a language of all possible string over the given alphabet. So first of all, we have to define the language for A and B using the steric concept. So how we can write like A, okay, empty set, then A, B, then you can repeat it 2 to pair, okay. So there is no proper rule whether you have to use double B, double A, okay, A, B, B, A. So you have to repeat of pairs, okay. So that's why, and so on. because it will go further 3 pair, 4 pair, and up to many number of pair. So okay, so they have given the explanation of the language, how we can define with the empty set using the palindrome. If I apply the palindrome over here, like A, B, okay, so this is the very basic data set of the language. A and B come over here and the palindrome condition, right? So if I say A, if I read it, okay, if I put the A in the middle, right? Okay, so if I want to read from left side, so it also give me A. If I read it from the right side, it also give me the same alphabet. Okay, for B, okay, so the second alphabet we have the B. Okay, so like for example, if I want to define if I want to a B, if in the palindrome rule, okay, so if I want to reverse A, or if I want to reverse the A over here or over here, so we get the same thing. Okay, same as over here. Okay, students. Okay, we have another example on the palindrome rule. So A the power n and B the power n. Okay, over here, what is n values? We have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so this is the set of the string which is A and B. So in the first case, the basic one, we have A, B, which is in the set of A the power B and B the power n. Okay, the inductive step, which is the step 2, if x is in A power n, B the power n, then AXB is also in AXBN, and so on. So how we can define the palindrome rules for the above language, which is A and B, but the condition is this. Okay, the power condition. Okay, so like we can, first of all, we can write AB, right? So actually we have to see if I want to read it from the left side or from the right side, so it should be the same. So what is the language? This is A and B, or A and B. Okay, so if I read it from here or from here, so it will give me the same thing, over here or over here. Okay, the same thing. We do not look in the middle. In the middle only we apply only the formula. Okay, the formula. Okay, we have to see the first one and the last one, because in the data set we have A and B. So this is, it satisfies A over here and B over here. This is why. We have again the same language. Okay, A and B. Okay, so in the first case, if A is belong to L, in step 2, if X in the language L, then S of X must also be in the language which belong to the sigma steric. Okay, so how we can define for the palindrome? So empty set, right? AB, AB, BB, and BA, and so on, and so on. You can write. This is the how we can define the language for the palindrome sections. Okay, we have the same language A and B, but we have some condition over here. Okay, the string must be start or beginning or ending with the same letter. Okay, it could be AA or BB, because it's an optional one, but it should be with the same ending and closing. Okay, so over here, if we come, look, this is A and this is A. This is B starting and this is closing B. This is A, this is B, this is B, and this is B. Okay, so here important point is this. Okay, because they say starting and ending should be the same letter. Okay, this is, you see, A and A, B and B. So this is a simple example. Okay, further we have a condition with double A and double B. Okay, so they say double A and double B, so they didn't go for any specific more principle or condition, like how we can say. Okay, like how we can draw them. So this is like example for you, and you should practice on this, and you should discuss with me. Okay, how you can construct a language for this. Okay, this why I haven't given solution for this. I haven't given in solution for this thing. Okay, we have another language with the condition of exactly double A. Okay, so if I say over here double A, but there is no rule. Okay, it should be with the end, at the middle, or with the start. So we can place anywhere. Okay, so the final um, language will be, we have double A over here at the middle, and in the middle again. Okay, so it's optional, totally optional. I hope students you have understand this thing. Thank you so much.